My name is Chris Vondo. I'm the spokesperson of the Executive Mayor. I have a liberty of directing the proceedings for today. The Executive Mayor has convened this media briefing as part of a tradition that has started with in the city since his assumption of role of the Executive Mayor in the City of Joburg. And I'm sure members of the media will be aware that the Executive Mayor is constantly engaged the residents and the stakeholders in a very transparent manner in relation to what are the activities and key programs that the city is implementing. So today is just but one of those days where we thought that it's important to keep the members of the public updated on where the city is on key service delivery issues. So it may not be the entire city or performance on the state of the city, but generally on the issues that have been in the public discourse. On the panel here we've got Cllr Jack Sekwaila, who is the MMC for EISD. EISD is Environmental Infrastructure Service Delivery Department, which has a responsibility to pick it up, City Power and Joburg Water. MMC Sekwaila. We also have MMC Nkokou, who is the MMC for JCPZ, Joburg City Parks and Zoo, community development as well. So MMC, thank you for coming. We know our Executive Mayor, he needs no introduction. Mr. Mayor will hand over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much and good morning once more. And you are welcomed to this media brief. And of course, good morning to the residents of Johannesburg. Just want to go through and read the statement and we'll then take questions after. On behalf of the city, let me once again extend our gratitude for joining us for this media brief to update our residents on areas of the work we are undertaking and executing our mayoral Cllr decisions which were arrived at in November 2024. In the spirit of transparency and accountability, as we have done before, we thought it is important that we provide feedback, periodically updates in the course of the implementation of the acceleration of service delivery. It is exactly 3 months since we took a bold decision to reimagine Johannesburg through the eyes of the residents, and as the collective statement of intent that will characterize the remainder of the term of office. This administration is committed itself to turn around Joburg through the following strategic priority areas, which are financial sustainability, safety, bylaw enforcement and crime prevention, accelerated service delivery, digital economy, the inner city revitalization, and of course creation of strategic partnerships with business and civil society. Now it is within this context that we should state that our collective leadership has been on the ground responding to challenges faced by our city. Our administration has been engaged with residents and various stakeholders of our city on who have raised their hand in joining and reaffirming the agenda of reclaiming and the transformation of the city. So in this case, we're also referring to our stakeholders, business and civil society, who have committed openly to work with the City of Johannesburg. These engagements and strides were reinforced by the cabinet oversight led by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Cllr Ramaphosa. As you know that we have also entered into an agreement with national government to establish a presidential working group that will provide support to the city's strategic priorities to ensure that the city can be turned around. We are also responding on the Metro Center building just behind all of you, the city's building, that we are saying that the city has made a strategic decision to close the metro center a year ago, and this was a result of compliance to safety issues, and we want to respond to on a long-term sustainable response. The building which has faced numerous structural and safety challenges over the years will now undergo a comprehensive refurbishment through a PPP, which we are now at the stage where, with our collaboration with National Treasury, we'll be able to facilitate the implementation of the project as part of what we call the office space optimization program of the city. And we are also working with the Government Technical Advisory Center, which is assisting with the procurement processes to put in place the advisory team that will help us to implement the building and construction of the new metro center. And our goal, of course, is to move the city away from reliance on private sector for office accommodation, and instead to create our own modern fit-for-purpose office spaces. This will not only save the city money, but it will ensure that our staff are properly housed. We are also responding to issues in terms of the development planning applications. The development planning has a fully operational help desk located in Brampark, in Bramfontein, for walk-in customers who require planning services. So as a result of the closure of Metro Center, we had to create an alternative center, which we have at Brampark, where our walk-in customers who require planning services are attended to. We have also created a dedicated delivery and collection points at Brampark for the public and consultants to deliver and collect their correspondence in respect of matters related to planning, development planning matters. And the planning help desk operational hours is 8 to 3:30, Monday to Friday. And the department has also created dedicated emails for submissions of land use applications, and those are in place, and our customers can then make use of those services. Most of our files are still located at the Metro Center, and arrangements are being made to put in place and relocate the current files to a new building being identified by the Johannesburg Property Company. On water, infrastructure and service delivery, we will know that we've had challenges with our water issue, but we are turning our water infrastructure, and Johannesburg Water continues to focus on improving city's water supply and management system. We can indicate that with the engagements with National Water Department, it has become clear that there's no shortage of water, except that the challenges that we have are infrastructure related as a result of leaks, and therefore the City of Johannesburg, through the Joburg Water, have identified the leaks, and what we have done now is to install what is called noise lockers, which have been installed across the infrastructure currently around Central, Randburg and Roodepoort regions. We have installed just around 125 of those noise lockers. And by the end of April, we also expect to have completed the commissioning of the lockers, and we will install an additional 400 by June 2025. And in addition to leak detection, Joburg Water is also focusing on pressure management to reduce water loss and ensure efficient distribution of water throughout the city. And as of December 2024, 12 pressure reducing valves were retrofitted with smart controllers, with a total of 27 already installed. An additional 100 PRVs will be retrofitted by June 2025. These initiatives are crucial in ensuring that the long-term sustainability of our water supply and reducing wastage. Given the vulnerability of these components, to theft, vandalism, we are also focusing on securing them with locks and proper enclosures. In terms of water supply for informal settlements, Johannesburg Water continues to provide stationary water tanks and roaming tankers to ensure that residents have access to water. The service is extended on a daily basis, and we remain committed to addressing the water needs of informal communities across the city. However, the city will not tolerate lawlessness and shall intensify disconnections of illegal connections throughout the city of Johannesburg. On traffic signals and traffic management, shifting to another crucial aspect of our city's infrastructure, which is called traffic management. The Johannesburg Roads Agency oversees just around 2,023 signalized intersections within the city, of which 251 belong to the Gauteng province. Currently, the city faces significant challenges in maintaining these intersections due to vandalism and theft. At present, 194 intersections within Johannesburg have been affected by vandalism. Additionally, 60 provincial intersections are also vandalized, requiring reconstruction. To address these issues, the JRA has committed to fixing at least 17 critical provincial intersections by March 2024. The remaining intersections will be addressed in line with the budget allocations provided by the provincial government. In total, the JRA is focusing on intersections along key economic nodes and major roads such as Malibonge, Wetkoppen, Winnie Mandela, and so on Dekkers, Henry Potgieter, and others. As of March the 4th, 2025, as of March the 4th, 99 intersections have been impacted by power outages, with 50 intersections affected by City Power and 49 by Eskom. The JRA is working closely with both entities to monitor and resolve these issues. A major challenge continues to be the theft of copper, which complicates the efforts to restore power to traffic signals. Of course, our JRA team continue to hold regular meetings with these entities to ensure we can quickly address power faults and reduce the impact on outages. There is progress in resolving most problematic intersections, and JRA and provincial government have signed a service level agreement on the 14th of February 2025, which covers the fixing of 60 provincial intersections. So far, 35 of these intersections have been repaired, and further work continues in coordination with JMPD and the Department of Public Safety to provide visibility and regular monitoring at the site. We are also taking proactive measures to reduce the theft and vandalism of these intersections. Security upgrades, including controller box traps, electronic controllers, and CCTV cameras with intelligent analytics, are being installed. This will be integrated with our Integrated Intelligence Operations Center for better monitoring and quicker response times. On potholes, we continue to perhaps let me put it this way, the intensity of the rain over the past 3 weeks has slowed down our interventions in addressing backlog of fixing potholes. Our approach to pothole maintenance is three-pronged. One, potholes cover a large scale and one operation. Deep patching, cementing of the affected potholes, resurfacing, giving roads more lifespan, which can go from 3 to 5 years. Additionally, we have built our in-house production capacity through our asphalt plant to fast-track the fixing and maintenance of potholes. We are also now cleaning cap inlets and on roads which were mostly blocked because some caved in the infrastructure due to the rain intensity. On the renaming of Santen Drive, Pule, The City of Johannesburg reaffirms its commitment to diplomatic sensitivity in the Sandton Drive renaming process. The City of Johannesburg acknowledges public discourse regarding the proposed renaming of Sandton Drive and emphasizes its dedication to a thorough, considered approach. It is also important to note that this resolution was arrived at in 2018 at the point where the Democratic Alliance was in government. While responding to public participation outcomes, the city is committed to engaging with relevant stakeholders to assess diplomatic implications before any decision is finalized. However, it should be noted that Council has made a resolution in 2018. The city urges restrained and responsible dialogue from all parties to avoid polarization. A final decision will be communicated following comprehensive consultations to balance local identity and diplomatic priorities. On the Arts Gallery, the Johannesburg Arts Gallery, a national monument and Grade 2 provincial heritage site, is poised to undergo significant restoration. On the 19th of March, in my capacity as Executive Mayor, I convened a Johannesburg Arts Gallery committee meeting in accordance with the Jack deed of donation to present and table the city's proposed plans for the restoration. The restoration of the Johannesburg Arts Gallery, including a stakeholder engagement plan, including interested members of the public, to ensure the involvement and joint protection of the national arts heritage. I can confirm that the city is committed to the restoration of the Joburg Arts Gallery, and in terms of our plans, we hope by the end of 2026 we'll deliver a state-of-the-art arts gallery. On behalf of the city and this administration, I want to emphasize that the City of Johannesburg is fully committed to improving the daily lived experience of the residents of Johannesburg. The enormous support we are receiving through collaborations and partnerships is a testament that Joburg will not fail in fulfilling its core mandate and transformative agenda. The district development model is now a reality that we see, and it will help us to reimagine and reclaim the City of Johannesburg. We'll come back in April as we commence with our public participation processes for the draft of the IDP, tariffs and budget to report back on the outcomes that the residents of Johannesburg are envisioning. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. We are also joined by the acting CEO of Joburg Property Company, Musa, and the spokesperson of Joburg Property Company. Sikho is from Johannesburg Road Agents, Mr. Traffic Signal. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I invite takers. The Executive Mayor has an engagement, the council engagement at 10, so that's why we requested that we have this briefing earlier. Ule, let me note the hands, and then number 2. Any other taker? Number 3. Pato. Number 4.
Executive Mayor Cllr Jones, ENCA. Just on the name changing of Sandton Drive to Cllr, I know you said that there are consultations taking place, but do we have an indication of when perhaps you will be meeting the President? Is that meeting on the cards? Will you meet the President or the Presidency regarding this particular decision? That's number 1. Number 2, we have received information that there is an intention or discussions around the surcharge being increased to 290 Rand. Is that true? Can you confirm that? Are those discussions taking place? And just lastly, on the issue of the Rea Vaya bus services, commuters still stranded. It's a thorny issue. It's now over a month since those feeder buses stopped. Have you met the taxi associations on numerous occasions? What are the discussions there? Thank you very much.
Timo, SABC News. I just need an update on the Bree Street, fixing of Bree Street.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask in regards to the road agencies, especially in their fight obviously against copper theft, what exactly are how are they exactly acting, especially, and just the manner in which they're winning or not, if they're winning the war basically.
Alex Patrick from News 24. Do we have an exact kind of cost on the metro fixing? I've seen a template that we produced a while ago that we wanted the centre to look like. Are we still going to use that image? And then I just wanted to know, with the metro centre being redone, is there still, are you still going to move to the Usindisa building as your headquarters? Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Alpha Ramushwana here from Eyewitness News. I'm not sure if you addressed this, but there's been some sort of public criticism of social media, with some claiming that the city has been paying for paid promo, paying influencers to promote the city. We did see a series of tweets with hashtags. It does seem like it is paid promotion. Can you clarify whether or not the city has paid influencers to promote the city? Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, what to...
Well, thanks. We'll also allow the officials to respond to some of the technical questions as asked. There's one from Kwena. If you could come forward, Mr. Nkokou, and proudly sit where in Tatisi City. You can help us with the response, and Musa, come and sit this side also with us, so that you can respond to some of the questions. On the issue of the availability charge, it's a matter that still has to be presented to council. Therefore, it's a matter that we will not speak about prior to it having been tabled today or tomorrow. And once it's tabled at council, I think we're at liberty, Pule, that we can engage on the matter of the tariffs as proposed and presented to council. So as of now, council will have to present it first, as you know, the process of council, that we can't talk about it until such time is presented to council. The BRT, where we are, as you know, that it is the phase 1B and C are undergoing a business rescue, and we're beginning to see progress in terms of the numbers of passengers that are increasing, and we believe that the business rescue is on track. We've been constantly engaging with taxi associations on finding other suitable options so that we can ensure the smooth running of the BRT. Even yesterday we had a meeting with STS, and our engagements are delivering fruitful outcomes. So we think we are on the right track with our engagements, and you can see that as of today, you'll see that the numbers are beginning to rise. And of course, the discussions around the feeder buses has been discussed extensively, and the taxi associations are at the point where they've accepted our arguments, and the feeder buses are already on the roads and picking up customers. Once again, there's no planned meeting with the presidency. All we are saying that there will be constant consultation on the matters related to Sandton Drive with national government, provincial government, but we want to re-emphasize the point that yes, in 2018, as and when the Democratic Alliance through Herman Mashaba, they were in government, a decision and a council resolution was taken to rename Leila Khalid, and the process of public participation has been undergone, and as a result of that, We are still in consultation precisely because we would like to manage the diplomatic issues and must be guided, of course, by national policy, which of course supersedes our own local policies. So we will be directed by those engagements. On Usindiso, Alex, it's a proposal that the mayor made, and it's up to the executive to finalize whether we're still doing the migration or we're not doing the migration. For me, the importance of moving there was to ensure that this executive can be at the center of the challenges that we are faced with in the inner city, so that they experience these challenges on a daily basis. Because if we are not there, we may not be able to act as swiftly as possible. So the idea was that let's go and be there where the problems are. That idea is still on the table, and the administration will advise, because of course there are laws also governing usage of offices and where you allocate the office of the mayor. But I did make a pronouncement which was a wish, and let's allow the team to finalize it. I guess the last part before you enter the technical issues, it relates to the issues around influencers. And I think I want to assure our residents on this matter that there's never been an instruction from me, Alpha, around the issue of influencers. As I made it clear that I've never made any instruction of that matter, and I want to assure our residents of Johannesburg that I do have a communications team that has been doing their work, and that communications team, I believe they've not hired any form of influencers whatsoever to hype our activities. But we are also aware that there are media houses who are very invested in the story. But what I can assure the residents is that this was never done by my office. I believe we are hard at work to ensure that we have a functional city, and that problems faced by our residents get addressed. And we want to urge those who have information, if they have, that my office or communication team paid influencers to hype what we are doing as the executive to come forward. But where we are, we have no such intentions. It is also important to note that we had launched a clinic, and it is real. It's not something that needed influencers, it's factual. We launched a clinic in Naledi, one of the state-of-the-art clinic, which our people and residents waited for 4 years of construction, and eventually concluded and delivered on that clinic. So we do not need any form of influencing to communicate the work that we are doing. Just on Friday, the Human Rights Day, we also opened the iconic city library. We did not need any influencers to communicate. You yourselves were there, and we communicated the work, and you saw it for yourselves. So we do not need any form of influencers. And I repeat once again, I'm not giving any form of instruction to anyone, and I'm definitely sure that even my office have not acted in that fashion. I think Nkokou, you will handle the matters on the signals. I think Kwena had specific questions around that, and Mosa, you'll then add on the Triple P as it relates to Metro Center, the designs, and what we want to achieve with the new building. The current building is 50 years old, and it has structural challenges, structural defects, which requires our attention. Sipo, I think would want to sit somewhere here, and Mosa, where you can sit here and respond, because you need this thing.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And the question on the traffic lights and what are we doing with the theft of copper. Let's start first. Copper is the best conductor of electricity. Every cable you see, it's got copper within it. That's the best conductor of electricity. And that's the challenge we face, because the same product that we need to use, it's the same product that a lot of industry requires to use as well. As we are talking to you now, there's been a moratorium on the sale of second-hand copper in the country. Yet we still experience this. So this means this is not really a very small activity that is happening. It's not few people trying to sell this. There's big companies probably around at the back of this trying to sell this copper, because I don't see how people can steal so much copper and it's not seen anywhere. 2 weeks or about a month ago, there was a truck arrested somewhere in Sasolburg with copper worth 6 million rands. So it shows that there's a market out there that is buying this. Now, but what is it that we are doing internally? First, what we've done, our cables used to be this thick that we put in our traffic lights, 29 core cable. Over the years, we've reduced it to 9. We're looking at innovation as well, where we're talking to the other suppliers of the controllers to say, can we even reduce that further to 4? Ultimately, we will have a cable that we call power on to the Ethernet. This is even thicker than that. We will put in the traffic lights. But remember, with a city of 14,000 kilometers of roads, 2,023 intersections, it's not something we'll be able to do overnight, because then it requires money. So as we recable, we'll try to find these solutions that we can put on the ground. We've tried others before, aluminum-clad copper cables. These ones, if you put them out there and then somebody takes the copper, they try to burn it, that aluminum actually spoils the value of the copper. But they were very brittle, so the roads, if the truck passes there, before you know it, that cable is broken. That's when at the time we will experience a lot of high flashing traffic lights. So we needed to try to balance all these things. But with the new controllers that we are seeing, I know some of the 2 companies, they are going to SABS to get approval for them. One of the company, they've got a UK approval for that control. So that controller will be just only 4 cables. 4 cables to the lights, 4 cables to the controller to control. So when that is available in the market, we'll test and pilot, and then maybe gradually we'll build to that. But however, then what is the best solution to avoid copper theft? It's a behavioral thing. It's not technical. It's not something that we can. It's teaching our communities that we don't have to steal our assets. If a traffic light is left there untouched without anything, can last easily 15 years on our road. Most unfortunately, we had to go back and request more money from the executive mayor here to try to go back and fix what we have fixed. But those are the things that we are doing, and then we continue doing this. We have fixed about 35 intersections, mostly on your economic routes. If you go along Hendrik Potgieter, there's a couple there. But if you go and drive there, you'll see some of the things that we've put up as solutions. We've put up the bollards on the poles, so that it becomes a bit harder to cut that poles to access the copper. So you'll see it will be steel, it will be cement, it will be steel again. So somebody will have to bring the cutter that has to go through all the mediums to reach there. I'm sure they're going to try. I'm being honest with you. They're going to try until maybe they find a super diamond cutter that they use. We can try that. We've also started to put in some of the cables underground in the underground chambers, so that it makes the cables a bit farther away to reach. So they will have to dig a bit longer. And then on top of that, we add what we call cement and concrete on that, so that it makes it difficult to reach. But you see what we keep on doing? We keep on adding the cost of fixing a simple traffic light. And that is where the danger is. Because now a traffic light that could have cost us 100K to fix, now it's 200K, 300K, simply because we're trying to find means to hide. But if somebody never stole that intersection or any of that copper, we wouldn't have to spend that money on that. We'll have increased then the number of the intersections that we resolve. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Musa will deal with the metro center.
No.
And broadly, just space optimization, so that our media can understand where we are.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, and good morning to everyone. Indeed, let me start, Mr. Mayor. I think we've touched on some of the issues around the vision of the office space optimization, which is really us as the city moving away from spaces which are currently in offices that are privately owned and moving to the spaces that we actually own as the city. But I think, Mr. Mayor, when we tabled the report to council over a number of times, we did highlight the cost of refurbishing the metro center in its form, in its structure, without adding anything new around it. And I think the question around the cost of that, we did put it out there at the time. That was done by the engineers as well as the quantity surveyors. It came to about 800 million. That is what it will take us to put a metro center to be in a state that is functioning without adding any additional space. However, Mr. Mayor, we, as asset manager of the city, we also propose that we should look at the Metro Centre and see how we can actually redevelop the precinct and make it a mixed-use precinct. I think that's one of the options that we really put hard, and it actually looks at the existing structure where it gets refurbished, but it also looks at the dead space around the area in terms of where we are now in best practice. I think Mr. Mayor did highlight that the building was built around 1950 and it was meant to have a certain look, a brutal look, concrete and so forth. But if you look at urban form where we are now, the facade we've moved and there's certain sort of look and feel that we actually want to have to ensure that from a sustainability point of view as well, you actually comply with such things. So indeed, the Metro Centre, the option that the city took through a council resolution is to explore a PPP that we are running through or with in partnership with National Treasury, with the department that is called GTEC, which really is advising the city in terms of how to run the PPP. So we've tapped into that, and I think, Mr. Mayor, in the space or in the light of the office space optimization, we've looked at Metro Centre to kickstart the office space optimization, but we've also looked at what we call touch points in every region, because the city is designed to have regions. So we've got 7 regions. Is to say we need to have these offices where the city uses its own properties that are located in the regions. Like for instance, currently, if you look at Region E, just along Catherine, we have an office that we're actually renting in that area. But we do feel that we can actually, based on the 1 asset or 2 assets that we have in the area, we want to actually use that as part of the rollout of the office space optimization. So in a nutshell, in bigger sense, is that in the long run, the city will not and should not actually be renting out space from private sector, but also from a service delivery model, the mayor is to try and ensure that it becomes easy and efficient for the commuters or the public. For instance, I always make an example where if you have a new build, if you've got a new, you want to open an account currently, you have to find where Joburg Water is, you have to find where City Power is, you have to find where development planning, and currently we in just different places. But the model of the office space optimization, it brings everyone under one roof, where the way we vision it is that we'll have a number of counters and sections, that this is Joburg Water, this is JMPD and so forth, so that at least the experience or the interaction of the community with the city becomes better. And I think it's also aligned, Mr. Mayor, with the long vision of saying, how do we make sure that we cut down the cost of doing business with the city? Because for someone to actually move from one area, it becomes costly, but also to bring this model closer in terms of regions, to have it in terms of regions, with the Metro Centre remaining as a head office in terms of how we want to roll out that chair. But I think in a nutshell, because there's this narration that the city will be forking out all this money, Mr. Mayor, to actually redevelop this. That is why we've gone for a PPP where the city would leverage and sweat the asset. What it brings is the value of the asset, the land that it actually owns, and then it will partner with private sector, where private sector will bring the technical skills and the financial skills and the legal skills to ensure that we're then able to sweat the asset and turn it around for what is intended to, and the city will then benefit in an asset in the form of a refurbished or a redeveloped asset that will deal with. Mr. Mayor, if I can just pause there for now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Let me just, we missed the issue on Cllr Nkokou. You want to respond to Cllr Nkokou?
Yeah, I can give a brief background. The question
Not
was...
the background.
Okay, where we are, yeah, okay. Let me not go to the history. Yeah, where we are, the progress is proceeding very well. There are about 7 line items that we need to complete until the project is completed. When you build a road, obviously you start drenching, digging, until usually people start to see the black top, or in this case, a paved surface, and they think the project is done. In terms of us being on site, we're 100% on site. There's a contract on site with the employees, they are working. We have already about 30% with the base, because you need to get your road to the basis. When you build a road, you'll see there are those layers. You need to get them right so that the road is solid and all. Considering this was happening in the middle of the inner city that has more than 100 years, there's a lot of channels, a lot of cables, so there's a lot of work that we need to do to make sure that in the future, those cabling, those channels are done correctly. Some of them will probably include how we do the channels for your gas pipes, for your electric pipes, for your water pipes, some of the new technologies that we never had, like your fiber optics. So we have an opportunity there actually to do it right. So we have all those layers that have been built there. Some of the activities then that will take place will then be backfilling. After all that is done, then we backfill. You start seeing it going up. And then lastly, then you see the construction of the paved surface. That's when you start seeing that the road is done. If you were to go there, you'll see a lot of digging, a lot of ground that is being dug, a bit of compacting somewhere, a lot of boxed sessions that are going to actually run all your services. And then that will be the phase 1. And then the phase 2 will be your beautification of the space. So the progress is very well. We're going quite quick. The intention is to finish in August, the phase 1 of the project. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Bondo, I think
Thank you
we are
very
done.
much.
Unless
members
there's
of the
a
media.
follow-up.
I think they are signed the cities, Mr. Mayor. There's no follow-up.
It's bullet check it.
No, I just wanted to follow up, man, on the surcharge issue. I know you said it's embargo, it's internal, but do you think that it is the right step in the right direction for the city, given the previous backlash and the cost of living in the main for South Africans in Joburg?
Council will determine and give us direction on the matter as is being presented today. And as I said earlier, we can't discuss it here until it's gone through council. And on the basis of that, we'll be able to respond to your questions. Tomorrow is the last day of council, and we'll be able to respond on issues of tariffs, not only on the availability charge, but the whole issues around the tariffs. As you know that in May we'll be introducing and adopting a new budget. Well, in April we're undergoing a process of the IDP consultations, and those matters will then be presented to communities to make comments, and eventually there will be decisions that are made on the basis of the IDP consultations. We don't make decisions outside of the IDP consultations. So I think just to exercise a bit of patience until those processes are concluded, then the matter will then be put to the fourth, because we have to consider all tariffs. There's tariffs for swimming pools, there's tariffs for usage of swimming pools, usage of lease properties that are leased out. So there's a whole lot of tariffs. It's not only on the availability charge.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll be the last. Two.
Alpha.
Okay, thanks very much. My name is Cllr from Jacaranda FM. I just got 2 questions. The first one is on the, if you have an update from the indigent matter the President raised following his visit. What was the problem? Because it is an administrative issue. The second one would be, are you happy with City Power so far, following the financial losses at the entity?
MMC is here. Let's take Alpha.
Mr. Mayor, similar question. The presidential working group announced by the President, have you received an update as to how far the process is?
Okay. Thank you very much. CM is here, Mr. Mayor.
Where is it?
It's just...
Oh, why are you hiding? I think the city manager will deal on the presidential working group. I'll just deal with the indigent process, and the MMC will deal with the City Power question on whether we're happy with the work. We have agreed as part of the process to update our indigent policy. The barriers were actually in terms of the system that has been used over some time to capture the indigency. So what we have said in the mayoral committee was that the group ICT together with social development will sit down and redesign the system, and we've given them a target of end of April. They should have concluded in terms of updating the system, because the system in itself was excluding quite a number of people who are supposed to be. For example, it requires an address. When you're in an informal settlement, you're likely not to have a residential or dwelling address, which is a problem. It kicks you out. Some years ago, Alpha would have registered a CC hoping that he can be a business person and start his business. But the registration remains at Cipro, and when you check in the system, it says you have a company, but it doesn't say whether a company is active or inactive. And as a result of that, the system then assumes that you are not indigent on the basis of having a company. So those are the things that we said they must review, and we must also change the policy, which will be bringing the new policy into council immediately to amend our ESP policy by the end of April. It will come into our April council, because we view this as an important aspect of the work that we are doing. Our register is very low. It should be sitting now at about 200,000 at least, if we understand the population dynamics of Johannesburg, which is about 5.8 million. We're also faced with just around 317 to 219 informal settlements. So our indigent register should actually be reflecting on the basis of what I've just given you. So we are reworking it, and we hope by April it will come to council with all the amendments, and we can start the process of registering those that are indigent. Then we can tap into the equitable share and all other grants that comes with addressing the indigent in our society. I think you will handle the presidential working group progress, and then the MMC will handle the question from Clive. Is it Clive or Cliff? Cliff.
Yes. No, thanks, Clive. I think good morning to residents and viewers of City of Joburg out there. Look, where we are, I think we are seeing the progress, and we are happy with the efforts done by City Power, its official, and the board entirely. I think looking at the perception that we have with regard to provision of power in Johannesburg, at some stage internally, I think we wouldn't be focusing much on generating or selling power for the purpose of generating money. Was more of social, and we realize that some of our rates and how we charge unit price of electricity will be lesser to ESCOM. For instance, if ESCOM will give us a unit price of 500, for example, we'll be giving to our residents 450 or so. I think at some point, how we model and obviously repurpose our city powers, this entity, the idea behind was more of social. And I think we'll emphasize more on the matter of ESP, but I think that is where City Power and the whole entire city must then focus on. So at some point, we are able to cushion our residents that can afford, sale of electricity or the price of electricity. The ESCOM prices, which you all know about, as it happened just a week ago, and obviously there should be again a hike of electricity within the City Power itself. Again, as the mayor indicated, that the proposed tariff, which we can't discuss them now, but as proposed to today's council, still you'll find that they are lesser as to how or what ESCOM is charging to the resident of Johannesburg. But we were looking at vigorously communicating with our own community to register as ESP, so that at least we are able to account for any usage of power across the city.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning to yourself and the residents. So just to start off on the extended social package. So I think the point that was raised during the president's visit was that the city is not providing free electricity and free water to those who are indigent, and we must categorically state that that's not correct. We are engaging with the professor. So if you look at the work that we are providing in the informal settlements, all of them, so there is water that we provide for free, and there's also electricity that we are providing for free in those areas as part of the extended social package. So we did want to engage with the professor to go into the detail about that study that she would have conducted, and the ED Social Development is doing that work. So over and above the explanation and the re-registration of more people onto the indigent, that work is already continuing. I think we'll go to council, as the mayor has indicated, and we want to bring an addendum so that the system we are putting in place is able to allow us to be able to accommodate more people and get more people registered and remove some of the barriers that are already there, as the mayor's already indicated. So I think it's important to state that we get about 7 billion from National Treasury from the equitable share, and that equitable share, all of it goes to Johannesburg Water and City Power to provide electricity, and that money is spent in that area, and that's what we allocate for the indigent population. In relation to Mr. Mayor, the presidential working group, the presidency has given us a list from their side. We've also submitted from our side all the EMT members in the different clusters. So we have our first meeting this Friday from 3 o'clock. We then start the first meeting of the working groups on Friday from the presidential working group. So I think we're in progress. We've allocated the executives as per the 8. It was 7 working groups. It's now 8 working groups if you include the inner city, and we've allocated senior executives in all of those 8 working groups, and the work will start on Friday. Thanks.
Who are some of the notable figures that have been looked at?
So from the presidency side, they've not released that info, but from our side, I'll be leading, myself and the group CFO will be leading the governance, and then the water will be led by the MD Water and supported by the Executive Director, Environment and Infrastructure. Electricity would be the CEO at City Power, supported by the ED Development Planning, and then you have the social aspect where you'd have ComDev and the rest of the, then supported by the executives in the different clusters. The one in the presidency is still not released, but of course it's very confidential at this point. They've really just given us a highlight, so I think it will be released from the presidency side, and we have agreed that that's how it's going to be communicated. But we have a view of the candidates from the presidency side.
Okay, thank you very much, CM. Thank you, MMC and the Executive Mayor. Thank you very much. The media briefing is adjourned. Thank you.